What's going on, my comic chat army? We finally got an interview with Tom. He is a super busy man. So we're about to interview Tom. You tell everybody who you are.
I'm Tom Lotz. I own Cool Comics Games, shameless plug, on Del Prado Boulevard in Cape Coral, Florida.
Yep, come down here and check it out. This is an awesome place to be. A lot of collectibles, and if you're into cards too, a lot of cards. Like, not sure of all the games, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, and other ones that have failed.
How long have you been collecting comics?
I've been collecting comics since I was probably about 7 years old. That's when my great uncle first gave me like some early Iron Man comics from the 60s and stuff like that. I had some old ones. They weren't mint, believe me, and they were even worse when I got done with them. But I must have read them probably about 20, 30 times each.
Do you still have them?
No, they're long gone.
Right.
They deteriorated over the years. No, we lost them in the move when we moved to this coast. So.
Okay. What's your favorite comic book?
My favorite comic book, I'd say probably Preacher. Like when there was a crash in the 90s and everything was like terrible. That book was consistently good, and that was the one I looked forward to reading like every month. And it was just a solid book. The TV show didn't do it justice, but you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Was the TV show better than the book? Well, everybody says the books are always better than the movies.
They are. You can't. But to do what they did in the comic books, it'd have to be on like pay-per-view. I don't know. I mean, something more, even more so than streaming. I mean, if you see like The Boys, which is kind of like that, it's on that level, you know.
Okay.
Same writer, you know.
How long have you owned a comic book shop?
I have owned Cool Comics and Games since 2004 officially. I came here as a HeroClix player back in 2003, and I just ended up buying into it as a partner, and then I bought the store from the owner. And it's been going pretty strong ever since.
Is this your first comic book store ever?
This is my first comic book store I've owned, yes.
Wow. Well, you're running it pretty nice.
I'm trying, you know. We're doing all right.
Oh, yeah. If there was a fire, what book would you save?
If there was a fire, I would grab, like my personal collection, I would just grab my short box of the valuable ones. I've got like first appearances and some other really good books that, gone. You know.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. I don't have like a huge collection anymore. I used to, but I just cut it down to the ones I really like. I could get them out of there pretty quick.
Right, you told us what your first comic book was, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist or writer?
Artist and writer? Artist, it would probably be Simon Bisley. He has that style that's kind of like, have you ever seen like Heavy Metal magazine? You know, it's sort of like a really like kind of rough painted style. It's pretty awesome. Every image just like looks like it's just ready to kill you. You know, I mean, it's got that thing. And writer, probably Garth Ennis, the guy that wrote Preacher and Boys and all that. He's great because he's got like that really twisted sense of humor where he can do like super ultra violent but over the top funny at the same time. But then if you ever read his war books, they're very serious and like he knows his war stuff and military. So it's like the other side of him. It's like it's not like the run-of-the-mill stuff that he does. Interesting guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he sounds interesting. What's your most memorable event or your book signing?
Most memorable event or book signing? I'd say when I was younger, I went to MegaCon Orlando before they got like really, really big, and I ran into Stan Lee on the floor. Like this is back, you know, he was just walking around enjoying himself, and he wasn't like calling attention to himself or anything. He had like one guy with him, you know. I just walked up and shook his hand, said, "Thank you for coming to Florida," you know. So I didn't like, you know, fanboy all over. I did when he left. I was like,
right? You didn't get a picture or anything?
Nah, I just played it really cool with him. You know, I was just there to shop and everything. So you know, I'm sure he gets enough of that. You know, he got enough of that.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. So.
Right. I wanted to. Do you have any advice for anybody that's trying to open up their own comic book store, or do what you did?
No,
or buy in.
It's a tough market and it's a niche market. What I think I've done as well as long as I have, because I diversified and incorporated the games into it. So you have like two different types of groups, and you have two different types of income coming in like that. I think trying to do just like one or the other, you struggle. You really do. But if you got like, because you get people that collect comics and they see the games going on, they want to get into the games.
Yeah.
And then the gamers come into play, and then they see like comics on the wall, and they're like, "Ooh, cool, I'm going to check it out." So maybe you get them in too. So I think there's a lot of cross promotion there with the two different groups.
Right. Yeah. Do you play any of the games here at your own store?
Yeah, I play a little bit of the Magic the Gathering, board games like we play Catan. We play one I like is King of Tokyo. It's like battling kaijus on the board. You like try to fight the other monsters and take over Tokyo. It's a lot of fun. There's one called Zombies, which is a lot of fun because it's not really like cooperative. It's like very cutthroat. Kind of like screw over your buddy. So.
Are these all card games, or are they like figures?
Miniature board games and things like that. So I'll try to do it. I wish I could play more games, but it's just I'm in a Pathfinder RPG group like every other week too, so I've been playing that for years with my friends. So that's a lot of fun too.
Do you ever play any games with tabletop misfits?
Tabletop misfits? No, they're usually doing their stuff when I'm working, unfortunately. But I'm glad there's a tabletop group around here that will promote it, and they're going to be at the other convention. They usually represent us at a lot of the local cons too. They'll demo games for us and things like that. So we appreciate them doing that.
All right. What's your most valuable comic book, and when did you get it?
My most valuable comic book currently,
doesn't have to be money-wise, just sentimental, or just...
I'd say probably I finally got a decent copy of Incredible Hulk 181, the first Wolverine, several years ago, and it's probably about a 9-ish, So that's like the best copy I've had. I've had worse copies in the past, but I think that's probably the most valuable one. I have like other first appearances and things like that, but I don't think they're.
And that's also your favorite first appearance?
I like Amazing 129 Punisher. I really I like that one. I've read that one a few times, and it's just ridiculous. How the Punisher was back then compared to what he does now. You're just like, what is he shooting jaywalkers? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I've read the dollar book the other day of the first appearance of Punisher.
Yeah,
it's real weird.
Yeah, it really is.
Any business horror stories that you want to tell us about?
Business horror stories. When I first took over the store, that's when Hurricane Charley came through, and I went over to the other coast, and I was at a sports bar with my buddy, and we were watching the TV, and it was like Hurricane Charley makes landfall in Cape Coral, and I was like, well, there goes that store I just bought. We got lucky though. We only took like a little bit of water damage under the front door. So we were lucky in that respect because they said Cape Coral, but it was like north Cape Coral. So that's about it. Everything else has been okay. Same thing with Irma. I put all the shutters out front and everything. I prepared for the worst. And my rugs got wet again.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty fortified building. It's only just like the two doors in the front, or you got the building next door that's all glass.
Yeah.
Glass front.
Luckily, they supply the storm shutters in this place.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What kind of comic book stories do you prefer, and why?
Stories? Well,
do you prefer any others besides Preacher and?
Yeah, I like books that have like a fun angle to them as well. It doesn't have to be serious all the time. I like it when they goof a little bit, like kind of like Deadpool kind of stuff. Having a sense of humor, I think, drives the story. Makes it a little more interesting. I don't like it. It's always like sad all the time, and things like that. It just, I read them to have fun, and enjoy the story. So, action, adventure, and humor, definitely.
All right. What would you say the difficulties for someone trying to break into make their own comic would be?
Make their own comic.
Have you ever tried to make your own comic book?
I worked on I doodled on stuff in school and things like that. I never really tried to publish my own or anything like that. I know it's tough to break into the business nowadays, but all you can do is just stay with it, keep practicing, always keep your artwork sharp, and don't give up. I guess just keep pushing it. Now with the internet, it's much easier, I think, to get your stuff out there at least so other people can see it. And if you can generate a buzz from that, I don't really know the channels, but you'd probably have to know somebody in the bigger publishing companies to get in.
Okay. How do you think indie comic stacks up to the big two?
Well, honestly, I mean, Image has done really well for themselves over the years. I think ever since they switched from the superheroes of like the 90s into like the more serious stuff like Walking Dead and Invincible, things like that, you know, it's possible. So they're contenders now. I mean, they are like one of the big ones. And Dark Horse is kind of stuck to their guns, and they've been around for a long time. But they do get the good licensing too. But the smaller indie press books, it is tough for them to get in and get their foot in the door, because there is, I mean, not only are you competing with like Marvel and DC, but you're also competing with all the other indie companies. So you really have to have something unique that, you know, is going to catch the eye of like the distributor and the store owners. Like, because when I'm doing my ordering and stuff like that, I'll read like the synopsis of the book. I'll look at the cover art, maybe the interior art if they show it to me, and I base my decision on that. But if it sounds like it's like, you know, an unoriginal story that I've heard like 100 times before, then I probably won't order it. But if it's got like a cool gimmick to it, or the team looks awesome on it, then yeah, I'll give it a shot. So I'll carry a lot of indie books too. Once in a while, you know, you get lucky and you've got that one, you know, that hits, and everybody's like, "Do you have that book?" You know?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, I got one copy. Good luck.
Right, like that one book we was talking about, I think a couple weeks ago, Undiscovered Country.
Yeah.
You said it was already on its third printing.
Yeah. That was kind of a little bit of a sleeper hit. Like, it started picking up hype like after it was already like starting to ship. So.
I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna read it and do a review. So y'all look forward to that. What do you suggest to new comic book readers? Like, if they've never read a comic book in their life and they stumble into your store, it's like, Tom, what should I start with? What would you direct them to?
I'd ask them like what type of characters they like, and then go from there. What type of stories they like? What are they more into? Are they more into like sci-fi? Are they more into horror? You know, and I can guide them from there. You gotta really like ask them what they're looking to get out of a comic book. I mean, I can suggest any new number one that comes out, but they might not like it. You know, so
Right.
I try to pick their brain a little bit first, and you know, base my decision on that.
All right. Has there been a spike in comic book sales since the Marvel movies? Have you
Definitely.
noticed?
Yeah, unquestionably. Like, once those movies started churning out, you know, everybody will come in and they'll be looking for it. And still to this day, when like a new book or, you know, a movie comes out, people come in like, "Hey, do you have any of this, you know, hot new thing that's out there right now?" So,
What's the most requested book you think you get
most requested
since the Marvel movies?
Since the Marvel movies come out, Spider-Man's one of the really top ones. They like the Avengers books and things like that. And Guardians had a spike, you know, when it came out. And I don't know. Besides that, I mean, Deadpool was always, you know.
Oh yeah.
And when Suicide Squad came out, everybody came in looking for Harley books like that. So, I mean, yeah, it does follow kind of with the trend of what the big movie is.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of like, I'll look ahead in the calendar and see what's coming out, and I'll order more of that particular, you know, kind of property and see how it goes. Sometimes I get lucky, sometimes, you know.
Right.
You end up with something terrible, like, I don't know, R.I.P.D.
Oh God. Do you think they come
Not
out with?
that it was a bad movie, but
Right. Do you think they come out with more variants of, like, when a movie's coming out? Like, let's say Suicide Squad. Do you think DC puts out more Suicide Squad variants throughout all their other books?
Sometimes, yeah, they will. Like if they're like Marvel does it, like every month they'll have like a themed variant that goes through like all their titles. If they're starting to promote something, like the most recently was like the Amazing Mary Jane. They're like, "Oh, we got this Amazing Mary Jane book coming out. Let's make, you know, variants for every one of our books." And then after that, it was $20.99. Like, they brought that back,
Right.
so they had like $20.99 variants like this whole month. You know, so it's like, hey, don't forget to read $20.99. You know?
Right.
It's the '90s all over again.
Do you think comic books are better now as you're an adult or as when you're a kid?
I think the quality of it has gotten better. You have like top artists and writers. Sometimes, like I said, they're just trying to push like whatever the hot thing is in the theater. So, you know, you'll notice like some of the comics, the characters will start looking like the actors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so that's how they're reaching like new audiences. I mean, I understand that from like a marketing point of view. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, lot of stories back in the day were fun, great to read, you know. But yeah, I mean, there are still good books out there now, but I think they've got more of an adult tone to them. Like they have to kind of like throw in that shock factor now, you know. Like
Yeah.
something really horrible has to happen to one of the characters or something just to get people hyped about it.
Have you, one last question. Have you read any of the Batman Black Label? And
yeah, I did.
what's your thoughts on
I
it?
did go through Batman Damned, and yeah, it was something.
The first one.
I see what they're trying, because they got rid of Vertigo, so they're trying to like fill that gap now. So they're like, hey, we got Black Label stuff. We're gonna make all of our lead characters all really edgy and everything like that. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever you want to do, but just try to keep a good story together. But most of the Black Label stuff has been good, and it's been selling well. So,
Do you think Marvel would attempt anything like that, like Marvel Knights, like how they used to?
yeah, well, yeah, Marvel had Marvel Knights. They also had their Max title, which they've just brought back for Punisher Soviet. Like, I haven't seen the Max label for a while.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of like, okay, DC's doing with it, so we should probably like do this again. That was like their Vertigo,
Right.
Max. Yeah, I'd probably see more of that now. They brought back Conan, So,
Oh wow.
So you hadn't seen. Well, they got the property back. They haven't seen that for a long time. So
Right.
they've been pushing Conan. They put him on the Avengers.
Yeah.
Savage Avengers.
They should definitely buy back the
Have
property.
him hanging out with the Punisher, and Wolverine, and everything. So,
They should definitely
why
buy
is Conan
back
here with everybody else?
the Fantastic Four. I want to see a good Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, you will now that like Feige's in charge of everything at Marvel. You're gonna,
Oh,
and then you see now, like since they settled everything with Fox, like wow, X-Men it's been like just like a landslide of X-Men books, and they've all been doing really well because of Hickman. And now the Fantastic Four is back, like in force, because hey, guess what? We bought Fox, and the mouse has all that back. So there's like,
Oh yeah.
we're gonna throw all these books in your face now. But I mean, yeah, we're gonna see it. We'll see a good Fantastic Four movie and a good X-Men movie pretty soon. Might be a few years, but it's coming.
Yep. That's the end of the interview. Do you have any plugs, shout outs?
No, I think we're good. Watch his videos. Watch all of them.
Yep, you heard it from here from Tom.
You've already watched this one, so you might as well watch the other ones too.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you
Awesome,
for Comic Chat
sir.
Army. Thank you.